Eat it. Oxygen. While we
Don't forget to follow Grit Daily News as well as me, your host, Loralyn Mears, everywhere on social media. And how about throwing 4 or 5 stars our way if you're listening to Apple or Spotify? Subscribe to our show. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Grit Files. I am Loralyn Mears, your host. And in the house today, we've got a gamer. Well, not just any gamer. His name's Lucas Stoltze, and he's part of a company called ExitLag. And you're thinking, that doesn't sound like a very fun game to play. Well, actually, it's sort of like 3M. They don't make the products you buy, they make the products you buy better. And what ExitLag does is that it eliminates that lag that you see when you're playing the games. And that is tremendous because they are powering hundreds and hundreds of games. So with that, here is the managing director of ExitLag. Hey, Lucas.
Hey, Loralyn, thanks for having me on the show. Very nice to talk with you and your audience today.
Well, absolutely. And I don't pretend to be a gamer. Like my audience knows me by now, right? I know what I know, and I'm very clear about what I don't know. I do like games and I like old school, like the Galaga and stuff, not into Fortnite with the nephews and all that kind of thing and all the rest of it, but have really enjoyed SimCity when that first came out 1,000 years ago. So again, old school. But talk to us in the audience, not as if we were children, because children instantly get games. Talk to us as if we were a bunch of senior citizens in an elder care home and saying, "Hi, Lucas. Welcome to our care facility today. Thank you for coming to give us a lecture. What are you going to talk to us about? What is ExitLag?"
Okay, sure. Yeah, I think the best way to describe it is comparing ExitLag with a GPS. Everyone knows what a GPS is, right? You open your phone, you want to go to one place, you open the GPS, put the place name, and then the GPS tells you what's the best route. That's in a nutshell what ExitLag does. You open the software, select the game you want to play, we will take you to the best route possible. The main advantage is ExitLag does it even better because we're not talking about people, we're talking about data. ExitLag actually grabs your data and sends throughout multiple paths at the same time. So we're connecting you with your preferred game through up to 4 different routes. So if one of that route gets congested and you have a problem, then we're just gonna use the data from the other routes. So it's basically you're traveling to the airport in 4 different cars at the same time. The car that gets there first is the car that's going to be used. It's the person, it's the you that's going to travel, you know. So since it's data, we can replicate it and it's a lot easier. But basically in a nutshell, that's what ExitLag does. It's taking the data from your computer to the game server through a best path and with more than one, just a single path.
So playing up on that analogy then, okay, we're in 4 parallel cars headed to the airport. Am I with all of my baggage, or are you partitioning the data and the baggage across all 4 cars so that when I arrive, you have to reassemble it all?
I don't need to reassemble it all. I basically take everything that you need and I put in all 4 cars at the same time. So once you arrive there, that's it. You know, you're set. You don't need to worry about the other ones that are coming. They're just gonna not be used because the one that arrives first is the actual connection between you and the game, you know. So we're making sure you're 100% of the time connected. So if one of the cars suffers an accident, you know, you still have other 3 cars as backup to take you to the airport.
Awesome. So it's really 4 times the opportunities to get there faster. And that's an incredible thing too, with all that redundancy that's built in. What about with respect to then the cost and migration that's adding, moving all of that data around, replicating it 4 times and sending it? We have a lot of conversations here about the costs of certain cloud providers and things like that. How is that impacting cost?
Well, it does add a little bit to the cost, but the thing is with games, you're talking about like real-time communication and the amount of data that's being sent from the player to the game, it's not that high that we cannot afford the cost of having multiple routes, you know? So basically we're talking about improving for the user and just taking the best routes possible to them, but it does add a little bit on cost for the company, but at the end of the day, the goal is to make sure everyone is connected to the best route possible.
Plus, as somebody who said, I have not played Fortnite or things like that extensively, but I have sat with my nephews many, many, many hours at a time watching them play. And you can't really afford that microsecond or that millisecond where someone's coming up like, hey, look out, like as you're communicating on the little headsets and things, that there's some other bad guy that's coming to smoke you. So it's worth it for the couple of cents or pennies on the dollar, really, that it's adding by doing that replication of the data set. I get it.
Exactly, yes. Like the internet was not built for gaming, real-time communication in the internet is still a problem nowadays, you still having like Zoom meetings that lags, still having like video calls that lags, so basically what we're trying to do is to level up the field and everyone is playing the best that they can be, so your nephew don't need to be worried about like connection dropping or anything. So if anything happens, as ExitLag is in the background, making sure you're connected throughout the best routes possible.
Now let's talk about games. Again, I think I'm a good demographic for that. Clearly, I'm old. I didn't grow up playing video games. I mean, the first games I played were like Pong and Blip, right? Like, oh my God, it was amazing. This white dot moved its way slowly across the screen, and that was mesmerizing, right? Come a long way since then. But what I've seen trending is all of the sophistication that's going into the games. And I'm not talking about the graphics cards and all of that and the rendered reality. That's absolutely incredible. I'm talking about the learning potential, the sophistication, the applications into corporate training, into schooling, into virtual reality and understanding soft skills. All of that stuff is a whole different dimension. It's still all gaming, but it's not just shooting people. Maybe talk to us about how the industry has been evolving.
Exactly, and you bring a good point, Lorraine. That's like community building, like how gamers get involved with people that have like same likings, and there's a lot of like development for younger kids that plays because they're actually developing their social skills at the same time, used to be in the past, you would be on your console or your computer playing on your own, and most of the time you wouldn't be playing or talking with friends directly. Nowadays, when you see kids playing, most of the time they're communicating, let's go left, let's go right, like they're all the time communicating with their friends, and without knowing it they're actually developing like their communication skills, the social skills, so there's a lot of like good development. And that's what I think like why it's pushing the industry so much forward, is because from the entertainment industries it's the only one that can bring communities together from anywhere in the world, and that's what so amazes about us with ExitLag working with gaming. We're actually present in 190 countries around the globe, so basically you're almost present in every single country around the globe. And that's what the gaming industry is, it's that communication level and that's community level globally, that you talk with people that are your friends, and sometimes you're playing with people that are from a different country and you don't even know it.
I think it also speaks to the opportunity for cultural awareness, cultural cohesion, understanding differences, even understanding accents and recognizing, oh, okay, of how we're communicating, how we need to do this. I think it's fantastic that kids get exposure to people from all over the world. And if they're united through a shared interest in blowing up the same bad guy that they're targeting, well, okay, so be it, right?
Exactly. Yes, it's amazing how to see like the beneficial the benefits of having kids playing around and communicating, like just involving, because a lot of people say, oh, my kids just stay at home. Staying at home doesn't mean that he's not practicing social skills anymore, because gaming has allowed and has evolved to this big community where people are talking all the time. So sometimes stay at home means that you're communicating more than when you're outside.
So have you just given all of the young gamers out there the secret, well, really the secret to go tell their moms and say, Mom, you need to let me play all of these games longer because I'm building my social skills. Is that the secret?
Exactly, yes. It's the leverage that they can use. I'm building my career. I want to be a gamer, or I'm just building my profile. That's what I have a younger brother, and that's what he tells me. That's what I'm gonna put on my LinkedIn, that I have all these years of experience gaming. So yeah.
Talk to us about the size of the gaming industry. What percentage penetration does it have across the globe?
Oh,
Any stats?
it's amazing to see, but I think we're past the 3 billion mark of people that play a game through either a cell phone, a computer, or a console. So yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's 3 billion. Don't quote me on that, please. But if I'm not mistaken, that was the last news that I saw was like 3 billion people that actually play a game in some kind of device.
So basically, just about everybody,
Yeah, just about like
right?
half of the world. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, getting a little bit more personal then on things and getting away from the gaming industry questions. When I ask people that are in these tech roles about what keeps them going, I'm also very curious about what stops them. Like, what's your kryptonite, Lucas? What takes you out at the knees?
When I can't solve a problem, I think that's like my biggest, I would say, probably kryptonite or whatever it is. It's like I am the kind of person that likes to solve all the problems, and my background is actually I was an engineer when I went to school first. So I developed my problem solving skills. So every time I got a problem, I gotta solve it. So when I can't, sometimes I lose like night of sleeps thinking about it and like, hey, what approach I need to take in order to solve it.
Oh, we are kindred spirits. I have been spending months trying to wrap my head around a very complex problem that I can't seem to figure out, and it's driving me like batty, absolutely batty, that I can't figure it out. But I will get there. I will persevere. And with respect to interacting and being in a gaming industry at a gaming company, what's it like? A lot of people are complaining about return to office. A lot of people have been complaining or now saying, well, now that I've had a taste of remote work, it's fantastic. Talk to us about talk to us about the dynamics in the workplace and what's changed from the demographics of who's there to how people are interacting to what's good, not good, or if anything had an impact with respect to the pandemic and what that did.
Sure, yeah, that's a great question too. And I think ExitLag is one of the probably first companies that started remote work, because we actually have been remote from day one, and ExitLag has 12 years, so we were remote a lot before pandemic was a thing, so yeah, it's a different dynamic. It's definitely different than going to the office every day. I think brings a lot of benefits and challenges as well. So I see a lot of managers complaining about like they can't build a culture, they can't build a team without having the face interaction. And I feel like that's because they're used to something that's, I wouldn't say old, but used to be a standard, which is not a standard nowadays. A lot of people will require some kind of flexibility. Not everyone will be willing to go to the office every single day, and not everyone needs to be managed every single hour. So you don't need to be looking at what people are doing in order to manage them. So I feel like it asks a lot from especially people that are in charge, people that needs to create like culture, like we work a lot around our culture, around like making sure that everyone that works at Axelag actually feels that they work for a company, that they belong here, that they like to be here. So I feel like the pandemic actually helped because now there are a lot of more tools for people to use. Like now we have Microsoft Teams, Zooms, and all the other tools that created actually helped people to communicate, and do meetings online and do everything online pretty much. So for us, it basically didn't change anything. Pandemic started, pandemic ended. We kept going the same way. I think it actually benefited a little bit because now we have better tools. But from talking about the company culture and all that, I don't think we changed anything from the pandemic. But I see it as a challenge right now for a lot of people that are used to old standards.
Well, you bring up a really good point, and an observation that I've been making is that everybody's trying to recreate the physical world in the virtual world. Even you look at the metaverse, Web3, all of this. And I think that the thinking needs to be more expansive than that. And specifically, if we are going to create corporate cultures where we work in either an all virtual or a hybrid work environment, sometimes in the office, sometimes at home, then we can't go and recreate what we had before that was physical. We need to start completely fresh thinking, fresh ideas, how we interact and what we do.
I totally agree. I think like it's a limitation to think that things that work on the physical world will work the same way on the digital world. Like in the past, people complain about emails. Where I'm gonna send an email? I have texts, I have phone calls. I can just call the person. Why I would send an email? Email was a thing that was new to them. Nobody liked it at first. Very few people were enthusiastic about it, but it became a thing that nowadays is like an obligation. Everyone needs to have an email. It's one of the primary sources of communication between a lot of people. So I feel like going to a digital world, you gotta be open-minded to new standards, like you can't really try to replicate what you had before. And that's what I see like as a challenge. It's like the tools that you use to manage people in the office will be different now. So you can't just be the same person too, You're talking about a different environment. You also gotta be a different person there. You gotta evolve with different skill sets to accommodate for the changes on the environment.
And that brings up a really good point. One of the new industries that have just absolutely skyrocketed as a result of the pandemic is tattleware. So, talking about new ways, fresh ideas, being able to do things, that companies are installing tattleware on their employees' laptops so they can track the number of keystrokes, the number of hours that they're looking at the screen, how active they are, the levels of productivity, all of that stuff. What do you think of that?
Yeah, like I said, I don't think we should be doing that. I know it like we didn't did that in the past in the office. Now that people are at home, we should create an environment where people actually know what they're doing, and we should create, I would say, a workplace where people know what they need to do, not tracking how many keystrokes they do, because I can be typing my keyboard all day long and actually not doing anything. So I think, like I said, it's a new skill set that you need to have in order to manage the people that are working remotely. So us as managers, as leaders, we should evolve and develop new skill sets in order to create a new environment that people actually know what they should be doing, that they are not procrastinating at home. And even if they do, it's like finding the bad employees like you used to do in the office, like not going to the office doesn't mean that people will be 100% of the time working there. They could be taking a lot of bathroom breaks, a lot of coffee breaks, and not working at all. And you had to find those employees. The same thing applies to working remotely. You just gotta find the bad apples and take them away.
That's right. There's always people that are clever enough to hack it. Like I saw some guy on YouTube that he set up something and it was this little device that was just like pack, 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 pack on the keyboards. And he had a head that was there, a little mannequin. And so it looked like he was always in front of his screen, yet he was doing a full-time job for somebody else that he trusted more because he was really annoyed with the tattleware. And he said,
Exactly.
well, right? So, okay. Looking back, now, you've only been a recent grad and in this role for a few years, but if there's something that you could go back and undo, personally or professionally, you got to hit the undo button once. What would you undo, Lucas?
I don't know. I don't think I have an answer to that question. I think everything that I did in the past brought me where I am today, and I don't think I would change a single thing.
And the funny thing is, most people answer that, but then people start to think about it and go, yeah, maybe I wouldn't have divorced my last three wives or, or whatever else and something. So it's kind of everybody takes it a little bit differently. All right. So flipping gears a bit then and back into the dynamics of building a business, growing it, the fast pace that you guys are, that you're doing international. How do you manage it when you're trying to scale so quickly? How do you look at things and go, maybe we should slow this down, or you know what? It's time to even go faster. How do you make those kinds of decisions?
Yeah, that's a tough question, Laurie. And I mean, there's different answers to when it comes to scaling, right? So it's very difficult, especially like for us, looking at where we have built and the countries that we reach, the amount of people that we've reached. It's like you gotta have a work balance where some things you need to prioritize, some things you need to slow down. It comes down to what are your customers needs the most, what your employees need the most. So I feel like developing a good skill set where you can prioritize things. You basically make a list. Hey, we need to do all these 10 things, but what's the three top one that we actually need to do by tomorrow, and then you just attack those problems. So like I said, I feel like I have good problem solving skills. So every time I have a problem, and I try to take a step back and look at from a bigger angle and say, hey, you know what? If we take this approach, maybe we can solve that problem quicker. If we take this approach, maybe we can solve that problem quicker. And you just gotta prioritize. But working with tech, it's knowing that sometimes you need to rush and sometimes you really need to work a lot faster than you want.
Yes. And then thinking about some of those challenges and what's going on in the workplace, I know specifically within the gaming industry that there's been a lot of commentary about the lack of support for women who are in gaming and the lack of support for people who are coming forward and talking about mental health or being different or diverse in some way. And I know that ExitLag is very much behind the scenes, making the games faster and better. But is ExitLag involved in any efforts to try to help this inequity and these challenges that some of the people are facing within the game industry?
Yeah, I saw a lot of comments too that normally people that works with game, they tend to work too much. They require a lot from the employees, and I think our company is totally different from a gaming company specifically. Just because, like you said, we're behind the scenes. We're not a gaming company per se. We help gamers around the globe, so there's not a lot of, I feel like our company culture is really good. If I we ask our employees, then normally, like I would say probably 90% or more should say that they like where they work. We try to be as as good as possible when it comes to the employees. Like I said, you gotta take care of the customers, but also you gotta take care of the employees. Employees should be your first priority because most of the time they are the ones dealing with the customers at the end of the day. So we gotta take care of our employees, and I think we have a good diversity in the company. We always strike for make sure things are fair, especially like you mentioned, women get paid less in sports, in actual real sports. It's moving to esports now, and we still seeing the same difference. Why is that? Words needs to evolve. We need to evolve as people just to understand, hey, we are humans. There's no difference between if you're a woman or a man. We all should be paid equally, and we all should be doing the same things. So there's a lot of talking. We basically, like I said, try to be as human as possible and understand it like that. We definitely need to be involved in making sure that we are changing things.
Oh, cheers to that. We're all humans. It doesn't matter what color, what flavor, what this, what that we are, right? Just are you human?
Exactly.
That's it. That's all that should matter. All right, last couple of questions here as we're wrapping up the podcast. So you're still early in your career, but if you look forward and you say, oh, 25 years from now, Lucas, we're at some big event, we're on some big stage, and everybody's opening up the Viv Clicquot and all the champagne bottle, corks are popping, and we're like, yay, Lucas Stoltze. What are we celebrating and toasting you for? What do you want that to be?
Oh, 25 years from now, it's a lot of time. But if there's one thing that I want people to celebrate about me, it's the amount of impact that I did on people's life, because it's a quote that I take for life. It's if you hang out with me long enough, I will make sure you believe that you can do anything. And that's my approach to leadership. It's just empowering people to be the best versions of themselves. So if we're celebrating something, it should be that the amount of people that I help to be the best versions of themselves.
Oh, I like that. Hold that vision close, Lucas. Keep it right here.
I will. Thank you, Lauren.
All right, last question. Now this one's fun and silly, but we ask it to everybody. If we got a chance to peek into your closet, which is based where? So we need to know what city you're in.
I'm close to Chicago, like
Okay.
30 minutes away from Chicago.
All right. So if we got a peek into your closet in Chicago and we looked at your footwear and there was one pair of footwear there, shoes, boots, whatever it is, that represented the personality of Lucas Stoltze and your values and who you are, you said, yeah, those shoes, those are like 100% Lucas. Describe that footwear to us and why they are you.
Uh, that's a tough question. That
I
I
know, I'm
want.
just trying to here to mess you up. That's where I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. Any kind of like sports shoes, like imagine a standard Nike, white for sure. I don't know why, but I like white tennis. They just, it's hard because they get dirty very quick, but I like it, and I always liked it since I was a kid. I liked like white shoes, so it would be a white shoes, probably a white pair of Nikes with like a black Nike logo on it, and that's it. I'm very simple. Like there's not a lot of like things that I would have in my shoes, but so basically a standard like gym shoes that you see people going to the gym, but it would be white for sure.
I like it. Black and white, right? Nothing gray, very clear. This is what I am. This is take it
E-
as you see it, right?
Exactly.
Oh, I like it. And there's a really good hack for getting the sneakers clean, right? The magic eraser.
Oh, I never heard of it.
Oh, Lucas, I just saved you a lot of frustration. So, go in the cleaning aisle. They have that product by Procter and Gamble, Magic Eraser. It's that white weird sponge that disappears as you use it. It's really freaky because I don't know where the molecules go, but that's a whole, topic for another show. But use that. Oh, good
Oh my
as new.
gosh. Thanks, Lorraine. I'll definitely look into it. I never
Oh,
heard of it. That's good. Yeah. Normally it's like the hard part of having white shoes. It's cleaning them up. So I'll take the advice for sure.
that's right. And you can just put even like a chunk of the sponge in your laptop bag or whatever and just have it in there. And all you need is like just a drop of water and you erase the scuff. It's gone.
Nice.
Gone. Yeah, it's fabulous. All right. With that, Lucas Stoltze, Managing Director of ExitLag, making games go faster. Thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thanks, Lorraine. It was a pleasure to meet and talk to you.
And how about that fantastic intro by Touch Circle?